This conference will now be recorded.
All right, everybody. Ooh, that's loud. I'll move it away, sorry. It is now 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, and I call this regular meeting of council to order here at the East Beaches social scene in Victoria Beach. I respectfully acknowledge we are meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Anisinan Nations, Dakota, Assiniboine, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous and Métis communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Introductions around the table. I'll start on my far left.
Ian Chansey.
Steve Axley. Lon Turner.
Mayor Penny McMorris.
Erwin Kamka.
And I'm Graham Rundle.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we will move on to the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. We have two additions that I'm aware of, gentlemen. 7F, King Edward Fire Break Project, and 7G, the Shoreline Advisory Committee alternate board member. Anything else? Steve?
Just like to have a quick discussion about a potential golf tournament for starting next year. It'd be an annual thing.
And can that go under correspondence, et cetera?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? Hearing nothing, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Moving on to the minutes of the October 1st meeting. Be it resolved, the minutes of the October 1st, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Any discussion, gentlemen?
I looked at them, they look complete and accurate.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Anything further? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to 3B, be it resolved, the minutes of the first part of the public hearing for zoning bylaws 1651 held on October 3rd, 2024, be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Thank you, Steve. Second? Ian, thank you. These were short and sweet. Thank you. And that meeting was recorded. And is that up on the website?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I'll sign those. And I forgot to thank the social scene crew for setup today, as usual. Thank you very much, Frank and group. All right, I will move on to committee reports. Starting off with Public Works, which I sent to council, I think last week. This morning, October 15th at 9 a.m. or thereabouts, the seasonal water was turned off and the plant is in the process of being shut down. Staff will be opening drain valves, winterizing pumps, and marking problem areas along the distribution system for spring startup. A reminder that effective November 1st, the garbage and recycling depot will move to winter hours. That means it will still be open 9 to 5, but it will be closed every Tuesday and Wednesday. With the high winds over the past 2 weekends, Public Works has been extremely busy removing trees that were blocking roads and cutting down dangerous trees. Our dangerous tree list just keeps getting longer. Because of the high winds, there are also huge brush piles to be cleaned up. Any brush that has been put out on the road allowance will be picked up by Public Works. Residents are also encouraged to drop off brush to the garbage depot area for chipping, and bagged leaves will also be picked up, but they are separate from the brush pickup. There are several initiatives being planned at this time. Parking lot expansion has begun. Brushing and deadfall is to be removed as part of the Fire Smart project near the Moonlight Inn and the Village Green. Drainage and ditching issues are to be resolved and a few culverts need to be replaced. And some trails maintenance is planned to improve our current trails. Fall and winter garbage pickup is now in effect every Monday. If you are not on the list, you need to contact Public Works if you need Monday door-to-door garbage pickup. Preventative maintenance is ongoing as always on all municipal equipment. Safety checks have been completed as required. Grading of roads is ongoing. Civic address signs have been ordered for this year and will be installed by Public Works in the fall, weather and time permitting. Bear-resistant garbage bins are still available. I believe at 325, but I could be wrong. I think it's on the website. Order forms can be found on the website. And a reminder to residents that effective May 1st, 2025, all residents wanting door-to-door garbage pickup must have a bear-resistant garbage bin. Water samples from the well at the fire hall and the Yellow Beach Pump House are taken into Winnipeg regularly for mandatory testing. And don't forget to sign up for VB Connect, our emergency and information communication system. Any comments? Okay, thank you.
I guess if there's any, I'd rather not use Connect for it, but we do need to send out another reminder, I think, just about the garbage bins, because next year we're going to be told that we didn't communicate properly and that the messaging over the last, 8 years is not enough.
Okay, good point. All right, thank you. Finance, Ian, do you have a report?
Yeah, so on the balance sheet, cash on deposit is 2.7 million as compared to last year. This is year to date as of the end of September, it was 1.4, so it's in a healthy position. Total assets are 10.6 million, and liabilities are 3.2, showing a surplus of 7.4 million. Going down to budgets, revenue year to date is 3.35 million. And just going through line items for each different category, I'm looking for numbers that show variance of around 25%. So when you get down to sort of 10 and 12%, that means that they're going to go over their budget if they don't sort of tighten things up. So admin council is in line around 25%. The police department has got extra money available, so they're over the 25%. CSOs has about $5,000 left. I don't know if there's any CSOs still. They're all done.
I think they're pretty much.
It sounds like police is a good position. Fire department, they've got 9% left on salary, so I don't know if that's an issue. But it's $5,600 left to pay salaries for the next 3 months, so I don't know if that's enough. Total budget on fire is 13%, so it's showing $28,000 that are left. It should be around $50,000. So again, if they could just tighten up their spending over the next 3 months, they could come in on the budget. Building and planning, there's 16%, so that's $21,000 left, which again, if they continue to spend the way they're spending, they're gonna be over budget. Public Works is in line. Asset development has no funds left, so I don't know if there's any new construction on stairs or washrooms or anything like that, but there's no budget left for that. Total expenses, 2.9 million. And that's around 17%. So you can see that's where those numbers come in. So that's the thing. The next 3 months, if people could just tighten up on the expenses, hopefully bring this budget in. And then looking at the net surplus, which is just revenue less expenses, there's about $480,000 year to date.
Okay, I think it's worth noting that some of the departments, fluctuate, right? So
It's seasonal.
it's seasonal, some of it is seasonal, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just raising the flag. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Any other comments, gentlemen? All right, thanks, Ian. Fire department, Steve, please.
September, September ended up busy with the wind event that happened. The fire department ended up with 9 calls this month. 6 of the calls were in the Arm of Alexander. 5 of the calls were for trees on hydro lines. The last call was in the Arm of Alexander was a 911 call from an iPhone. Brad wants everybody to know that's a good app for real MBA. but it does cause a few false alarms. Excuse me. We also had 3 calls in the Arm of Victoria Beach. One call was to rescue people in a paddle boat that the wind was pushing offshore out in the lake. I had originally heard that it was a canoe during that one major wind event that we had. Somebody thought it was a good idea to go out of the water, but I guess it was a paddle boat. Anyway, so it ended up safe with everybody being back on shore. The other 2 calls were hydro related. One was for hydro lines that were down across the roadway. The other was a tree on hydro line that was burning. Hydro showed up just in time to shut the power off and help put out the fire before some tough decisions had to be made. We also had some members doing a joint training course with East Beach's fire departments, and the fire department now has more members that are trained on pump truck operations. The fire department continues to maintain equipment and gear and are getting back into the regular training schedule. And again, just a reminder to remove and replace your conifers with deciduous trees. If you go down to King Edward and what's across the street, King Edward and where the work was done. What's across the street there? The fire smart.
Oh, by the tennis courts?
Yes, by the tennis courts.
First and fourth.
First and fourth, sorry. If you go down to First and Fourth, then you'll see a really successful Fire Smart project that was undertaken, and hopefully we'll be able to do something similar next year. One quick note about that is that next year the vines are going to explode in that area because of the new sun that's coming through. So we'll probably have to go in there and just rip them out at least once in the spring, and then everything should be good to take off on its own. And just one last thing. If you see that there are waves on the lake, don't go out onto the water. That person puts not only the police at serious risk, they put the fire department who had to come out and save them. For the fire department, they had to go all the way over to the launch and go right around the island in those exceptionally dangerous waves. So by somebody's careless decision, they put quite a few lives at risk. So don't go out on these waves, especially in a paddle boat or a canoe.
All right, thank you. I notice on our agenda, we have fire hall, fire truck. Council did just have a meeting this afternoon with our architect, some members of council, and we're moving forward with a few more changes. Should have some plans ready to review and try and get some costs on. The truck has been ordered, so that's the update there, unless you want to add anything, gentlemen? No? Okay.
And the steel building has been ordered as well, and the deposit paid.
Correct. Thank you. All right, moving on to police. Erwin, please.
Reporting for September. Regretfully, I have to announce that we've had our first 2 small break-ins. I think that's the first break-ins I've had to report on this year. They involved shed and garage. This is the time of year where there are less people around. In the springtime, people come down and they're busy opening up, but in the fall, you know when people have left, and we're very wonderful. Secure your buildings as best you can. Don't leave things outside. Just make it a little harder for them. Unfortunately, there were 3 serious break-ins in Alexander in the past month, and a quad was stolen. So there's some bad people out there taking advantage of the fact that people aren't down here. One incident involving a bylaw offense on an ORV. There was one item where police were involved with the issue with garbage. There were 4 incidents involved with intelligence, and that's where they're kind of checking up on some of the bad people out there. Police completed a total of 37 patrols during the month of September. There were 3 traffic tickets issued for speeding. So again, the work is being done to monitor the speed. So a little quieter time, but again, just to reemphasize, secure your building, put your stuff away, and don't tempt the bad guys to come in and steal stuff.
All right,
And just one more shout out, the finances for police and CSOs seem to be, falling into line as per budget. So my thanks to our chief constable for his work and also for Lon reporting to him on a regular basis so we can determine whether he is on budget or not. Thank you.
thank you. Any comment?
Yeah, again, I just want to put this into some perspective that when we originally got on council, we had, I can't remember how many dozens of break-ins every year. But then once us four, it was before Ian's time, but when we first got on council, we brought on a second police officer, and that has really changed a lot. So, yeah, of course, lock doors and everything else, but for anybody who is thinking about doing something nefarious, our response time is under 2 minutes. So probably best, do it in our community.
Okay, thank you.
And remember, if you see something, call the police. We look to you to be another set of eyes and ears. Our police can't be all places at all times, so if you see something that you think is inappropriate, please call the police and let them know.
All right, thank you. I have no report for special events, so I'll move on to the golf course. Steve?
Everything is being shut down, and we're going to have one final meeting to discuss finances, what we can do for best practices moving forward. Trying to bring on some best practices for the golf course, and doing everything that we can to ensure that that golf course doesn't start to lose money like it has in the past. Aside from that, I would say that the golf course was fantastic this year in terms of its upkeep. I think that we definitely made the right decision on the operator. There are quite a bit of things that we can improve on, but hopefully moving forward we'll be able to do even more with that golf course, and that's sort of going to bring me later on to a discussion about tournaments.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And thanks to Elaine at the golf course and her crew and Adam and his crew. They did a fantastic job this year, and it was their first year, both Elaine and Adam. So huge thank you and pats on the back to them both. Moving on to municipal buildings. Grant.
Municipal buildings, we're kind of winding down at the end of the season, just putting the finishing touches on some of what had been initiated throughout the year. Washrooms, the doors to the Village Green washroom and the tennis courts have been repainted, and that work has been completed successfully. The parking lot shelter, the re-roofing is complete, and the downspouts, our contractor ensures will be completed later this week. As far as municipal water, Poirier Plumbing has been engaged to drain and winterize various municipal buildings. We're coordinating that to make sure that nobody gets overlooked. And we found that with the doctor's cottage, that there was a power outage where turns out that the line has been down since about the second week of September, and there was damage to the mast. So I've arranged for DMD to deal with the damage to the mast, and then we will request re-energizing through hydros to properly prepare for next year, so we're not starting from zero. So that's in the works. The golf course benches, very big job. It's been, they're all complete and done. There's a suggestion that we should also paint the garbage cans next year, so I've got that in my broad forward file. As far as the barracks, the crawl space was phoned today. The contractor was out, and they were to have installed the last two of the rotary pumps underneath. And on the fire hall and the truck, it's already been mentioned that the orders have been placed, including the deposits, and we're finalizing the details of the wood frame structure. So that concludes my municipal buildings report.
Thank you. Any comments? Greg, Erwin?
Graham, will the two public washrooms be soon walked up?
Yes, we're going to leave our waterless washrooms open for a while longer. We're leaving it up to Public Works to decide when they could be closed and padlocked. The ones over at, in and around the village green, there's 3 of them now. They're to be closed up at actually at the end of today with the water off. There's no use keeping them open, so that's in the works.
Okay.
There has been some, some demand for Pier Point and also Pit Road to perhaps leave those open a little while longer. There's no specific shutdown as to when they get padlocked.
I think when it gets too cold for people to be fishing off the pier, then we'll have a look at the Pier Point washroom, but.
Exactly, and we'll apply the same logic to the Pit Road washroom.
Great, thank you. Any comments? Thank you. Moving on to the doctors committee in the building, please, Steve.
Well, Graham already brought up sort of the major issues with the building. There were several issues that we faced at the beginning of the year, notably the fact that we can't give out any more medication. This was a decision by the College of Physicians and Surgeons, as well as the College of Pharmacists in Manitoba. To their general credit, they did try to propose some options that we could use for next year, being starter packs of medications that we hold for a temporary amount of time. It wouldn't be for any sort of treatment. It would just be able to tide you over while you get your medication. It's not. I'm going to hold my personal opinions to the side, but it just, the healthcare of this province is waning. So we lost Kathy McKibben and Mike Mason this year for the committee. So we wish them all the best. But we also had Jessica Struthers, who did a fantastic job, as well as Sharon Collins and Dr. Ian Ross, who've just been also stellar. Really, everybody cares and is doing what they can. We also have Dr. Selena Petty as our new medical director, which is fantastic. So yeah, it's been, there's been some challenges, and we're hoping to try to do some new things for next year, which we'll propose to council. We'd like to look at possibly expanding the season a week on both ends, but we'll see how the signups go for the doctors and the nurse practitioners for next year. That was something that was brought up sort of closer to startup, so it was a little bit too late to try that this year, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get enough where we could possibly have 2 extra weeks of protection.
Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
Steve, this might not be the appropriate occasion, but what the heck. I had sent to your attention an interested doctor for next summer. Has that been picked up on, or has he been invited? Or?
Yeah, so I got it, I think I saw that yesterday. So yeah, I've sent it over, and we'll reach out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Shoreline Advisory Committee, Erwin, please.
The Shoreline Advisory Committee is currently reviewing the issue of some illegal structures that have been built on municipal land. And secondly, we're in the process of reviewing the Connaught Phase 2 project. one of our members is away on vacation and will be back in a day or two, and I'm hoping to convene a meeting of the Shoreline Advisory Committee very shortly. Detailed materials have been sent out to all members on both of those issues outlining the situation. So that's all for now.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's also worth noting that one of the members of the Shoreline Advisory Committee has recused themselves from the Connaught Phase 2 discussion because they have a conflict, and I want to thank them for doing that on their own.
Yeah, I was hoping to comment on that when we get to the resolution.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to communications. Again, encourage all residents to sign up for BB Connect. Go to our website for the information or contact the RM office directly if you need assistance. Yeah, Steve, do you have any?
It's for correspondence, so, yeah, nothing on communication.
All right, great. Moving on then to building inspector, back to you, Graham, please.
Okay. Our building inspector's report for the month of September. Permits issued, 2 main buildings, 2 screen rooms, 3 demo, 3 fence, 1 deck repair, 2 development, 2 sheds, and 1 garage. So as you can see, the activity is starting to fall off towards the end of the season. The value of the permits for September was $6,000 and change. The fees collected year to date were $48,000 and change. And the total value of permits year to date is $6 million. So we're getting up there. And our thanks to Curtis Baudouin for submitting his report to me.
All right, any comments? All right, thank you, Erwin. Move on to accessibility. We did have an accessibility committee meeting recently, but unfortunately, we did not have quorum. The committee has reminded me that they should be seeing all plans for any new public buildings or renovations to existing public buildings to ensure that the accessibility needs are literally built into these structures if possible. And that includes the Moonlight Inn, the new fire hall, and renovations to the old fire hall. So basically, anywhere that the public may attend, we may have an obligation to make them accessible. So that's something that I'll be talking with the committee about in terms of the fire hall.
Oh, it's basically just a big bungalow.
No, it's not a big bungalow. Go ahead, Ian.
I just had a question about the accessibility for the Moonlight Inn. So there's a second floor and there's a deck, I guess.
Mhm.
And so what's the situation with that?
There is a ramp going up and into the deck. You're able to get into the deck maybe through the building, I'm not sure. There is an accessible washroom in the building, a new accessible washroom, but they do not have access to the second floor. Persons who can't climb the stairs will not have access to the second floor, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you're correct. To the deck, there's access from the ground level by means of an approved ramp, and there's also a doorway from inside the building.
And there will be a automatic door opener as well
Yes.
on the exterior doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including back over at the log cabin as well.
Thank you, Steve.
It can get tricky sometimes with renovations and restaurants, but this would very easily be a grandfather thing where you don't have to put it in after the fact. Yeah, so I mean, if we had to make the whole building accessible, then we'd have to put in an elevator. Again, just want to push for making that building a heritage building, because it, sort of protects it in the future from having to do any of those is accessibility. It's not to remove anybody's accessibility, it's only that because it's been so well supported, it could be in the future that any future renovations done to the building might force us to put in an elevator. So again, just something to think about, as well as a lot of grant money that we can do for renovations in the future as well.
But I think given the renovations that have already occurred, it's a completely new building. It wouldn't meet any heritage standards at this point. I don't think. I mean,
No.
it's been completely gutted.
Yeah. It's the exterior that they care about more than anything. I know.
The
I
exterior's
know-
been
I know that-
completely ripped off.
I know, but I think there's still an argument.
I would like to suggest that the only building that might be eligible for heritage protection would be the log cabin.
Hmm.
And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. There's advantages and disadvantages
Mhm.
to heritage designation.
Mhm.
And one of the disadvantages is there's no funds available for foundation. And sooner or later, we're going to have to do something rather more drastic with the log cabin's foundation, but not today, thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Trails, Steve.
Don't really have anything for trails right now.
Okay. Other than the fire break at King Edward Road is going to be brushed out with some heavy equipment. And Public Works did say in their report, they're talking about maintaining our trails better, not clearing them, but maintaining.
Yeah, I suppose that there was the fire break trail on the east side, but that's not so much a trails issue, that's our issue than anything else.
And I did notice Trans-Canada Trails has another call out for funding for grants.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we apply, if we meet the requirements, but it just came out, I saw it today. Moonlight Inn grant.
For the Moonlight Inn, I've submitted the minutes of a recent meeting of the construction group, the construction committee. It's rather lengthy, I won't go through the whole thing. Suffice to say that work is proceeding nicely. There's a few issues to resolve as far as groundwater freeze-up protection, but the work is proceeding on schedule. We're still aiming at being open for business on or about the May long weekend of next year. I could say that the project is unfolding within budget, but there is no budget. It's covered. So the budget is not something that council needs to concern itself with at the present time, thanks to our anonymous donor.
All right, thank you. Any comments? All right. All right, I will move on to the resolution. Be it resolved to approve the committee reports for September as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Ian, second. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Accounts and finances. Oh, there we are. Sorry, my fingers aren't working. Be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Checks 12716 to 12751 in the amount of $46,295.97. Credit card charges to September 21st in the amount of $1,644.78, for a total of $47,940.75. May I have a mover? Ian, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Any comments? Go ahead, Ian.
Really, I think it's probably one of the lowest ones for this year. There's just a couple, landfill at Alexandria was $8,200, recycling, the GFL account was $5,000, and hydro was $5,000. Everything else was just sort of $1,000 or $2,000, so not really a lot of money spent.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out for me was the Blue Imp playground invoice for $1,400 plus. And it was to replace one small end piece of play structure at the Village Green that was very forcibly kicked out, I think on or around the August long weekend. And they're bolted with metal plates and big bolts, so you would have to really work at it or be a very strong teen or adult to do that kind of damage.
There's 2 or 3 more.
Or 2 or 3 more. But it costs $1,500 with taxes, over $1,500 to replace that piece of equipment. Like, what's the point? I don't understand the random vandalism.
No comment.
No comment, and that this happened 2 or 3 years ago as well. It's just unnecessary. That's my rant for today. Any further comments on the accounts and finances? Graham?
No, it's interesting that it's a longer list than usual, 7 pages, but read it quite a small amount. So it all appears to be in order to be, and I see that we've paid the contractor for the golf course benches as well.
All right. Nothing further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. All right, moving on to business arising. We've got a golf cart purchase. Be it resolved to approve the expenditure of $18,200 plus applicable taxes for 2 2023 New Tempo gas golf carts. Further be it resolved to transfer the remaining balance of $3,376.80 from the golf course reserve fund to the general operating fund to partially pay for this expenditure. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Ian. Discussion, gentlemen. Steve?
Just some background. 2 of the carts are basically done. They've been spending more time in the shop, and they have actually helping golfers get around the course. We think that might be one of the main sources, or the main reason why we've had such a major drop off in memberships this year, is it's just too difficult to get around. So the golf carts, by replacing them with new ones, with new carts, we shouldn't have that issue with those 2. The biggest thing to note is that right now we sort of have a fleet of 5. So this is going to be replacing those 2, so we'll get back up to our numbers of 5, but those other 3 carts are wearing out. So one of them is starting to show the same wear and tear as the other 2. So hopefully next year we'll be able to do the same thing, and the year after we'll be able to do the same thing and start adding to the actual fleet that we have. The other 3 we'll be planning on running into the ground, so that way we have more each year. But with the new purchase, then they should last a long time. And then just one quick note is in the future, I just really appreciate if people could sort of send me the information before we get to a council meeting. I think that I always just originally when the new because we were looking at used carts previously, and then there was this idea of getting new carts a couple of meetings ago. But I believe that I always sort of show the same respect and send as much as I can the information to all councillors ahead of time before I bring something up to council. So I'd only ask that happen in the future.
But it did happen, Steve. We got this last week.
It was 2 meetings ago that this had originally come up.
Correct, and then it was tabled, and then it was tabled.
Yes. Yes.
So this did come to all of council though last week.
Yeah, but I'm saying that originally the information wasn't shared too much prior to the meeting. It's sort of the day of that that information or the suggestion for new carts had come up.
I just got the quotes between last meeting and this meeting, and then.
Okay, so I try to be as cordial as possible. So it
What
was
are
that.
you really saying, Steve?
We were sitting in a meeting, and there was suddenly new information that's presented to us in terms of, well, why are we getting these used carts? Why don't we look at new carts? And then that forced us to table everything. Then it got pushed until the last meeting, and then we got some more information in that. And in that meeting, it was said that, okay, well, they're not actually brand new carts. And that led us to this.
Yeah, it's
So-
been a bit of a winding road, but
Yeah.
we were all in on the debate.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Just a comment. The purchase of these 2 nearly new carts, that also entails our intention, still needs to be approved by council, but it is our intention to purchase 2 more new carts early in 2025 before the course opens. we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I just wanted to make sure that that's on the brought forward list.
And that will be a budget discussion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. The golf course will be happy. Golfers will be happy. All right, moving on to new business, 7A. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1652, the Medical Reserve Fund, be given second reading. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Erwin, second. Thank you. This bylaw was brought forward at the last meeting, or voted on at the last meeting. This is the second reading. Are there any comments or concerns since the last meeting on this bylaw, gentlemen? It was very minor changes. All right, all those in favor of second reading? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to 7B, third reading. And this is a recorded vote for the third reading of any bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 1652, the Medical Reserve Fund, be given third reading and passed. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Any further discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. That's great. All right, moving on to 7C, the tax sale date. Be it resolved to confirm the public auction for sale of lands for arrears of taxes is scheduled for Thursday, the 14th of November, 2024 at 1 p.m. in the Winnipeg office at 2035 Portage Avenue. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Erwin, thank you. This has been or will be advertised. Is that part of the process?
It will be, yeah.
All right. And right now there's posters up around the community. There are 2 properties on the tax sale list. And they can pay up at any time prior to?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion, gentlemen?
I'll just,
Go ahead, Steve.
Again, just so people don't think that we're the big bad municipality, we do send them notice after notice after notice. So we give people as many options as possible to, or notices as possible to pay up. So it's never done just under somebody's feet, so.
It is a process.
These people have been in arrears for at least 2 years.
Yeah, at least, yeah, that's why they get to this point, yeah. And we're always open for, like, if you just want to make small payments too, you just have to contact the office and make arrangements for it. This is a last resort action that nobody really wants to do, but unfortunately.
stuff happens.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. Police Board appointee. Be it resolved to appoint Kathy Finn-Bogason to the RM of Victoria Beach Police Board. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Ian, thank you. I would like to thank the 4 members of the community who sent in their resumes and expressed an interest. It was very refreshing to see that. And I'm pleased with our decision. Any discussion?
Again, just to echo your comments, it's very gratifying that we have people volunteering to step into this position. And we've gone through the resumes and made a decision. Any of the 4 people would have made excellent candidates, so it's tough to have to pick one. So, but we had to fill the vacancy.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Right. The Beaches Community Center Fit for the Future campaign donations. Be it resolved that the RMVB's committed grants of $10,000 per year in 2024 and 2025 allocated for the Beaches Community Center Fit for the Future fundraising campaign be transferred to the General Reserve Fund to be held for future use once the campaign resumes. May I have a motion? Somebody move it. Thank you, my goodness.
Move
That was
move
a
it.
tough one. Thank you, Ian. Second, Steve? Thank you. Too many M's. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
So that means that the fundraising campaign has essentially been stalled.
Well, they have the fitness facility downstairs that is looking really good, so they're going to sort of put this on hold for the time being.
We're not withdrawing our commitment, though.
No, it's just going,
Once they reopen, then we'll start making those donations.
I think that's for the 5,000 square foot facility over by the community center,
correct.
but they're expanding here.
But that's all covered.
That's just short term. I think that's a 3-year plan and then an extension of 2 years if they want.
Including the containers that we've allowed to be placed outside.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. So we'll make sure that ends up in the reserve fund. Thank you. All right, up next is the King Edward Fire Break Resolution. All right.
This is one resolution, this is the second one.
Be it resolved to approve the use of the equipment rental $15,000 budget for the expenditure of up to $10,000 to pay for 4 days of brush clearing to open up the fire break on King Edward. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Erwin, thank you. And this is for up to $10,000. We've had a quote from a company to come up and do this for us. I did check with a couple of guys at Public Works. We do not have the equipment to get this job done. We do have the equipment to maintain it once it is done, but we need to get this fire break open. Any other? Steve?
Just a comment, I did walk the entire length of the fire break from 504 west to the golf course. You know, it's in spots, it's completely grown in. All that's left is a very small pathway. We need that fire protection. Our equipment was just not robust enough to do the work. We could have tried, well, it did some work, but it's gonna bang up the equipment pretty badly. So Dane has found a company that has a more robust piece of equipment, and they'd like to get started on it before winter comes in.
All right, thank you. Steve, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, nobody likes to live in fire break, but it is so essential, especially the risk that we have for this community. We also have the 8th Avenue, which is fire break in of itself, so we sort of have those two acting like a T for protection. And it's a good starting point that we might be able to move outwards for Fire Smart from it. With the golf course, I'm hoping to also do a Fire Smart project there that we might be able to start tackling that big forested area, but at the very least, this is going to be something that has a lot of protection to the community. And the forested area in the center of the island is really one of the only places that in the causeway that the water bombers might drop in. They won't drop in a residential area, and I think that we forget that a lot. And to put into perspective for anybody who thinks that they should drop in a residential area, it'd be the same as a pool getting dropped on your head. So yeah, this fire break really is an essential piece of fire protection.
I agree, thank you. Graham?
I agree with Steve's opinion. This is a good idea, but it's a starting point. A traditional fire break is hundreds of feet wide, but this is a start, and we should consider going forward, widening it so it would work more effectively to prevent the transfer of fire.
Just for clarification, I'm not saying that we should create a fire break that's hundreds of feet wide. I'm just saying, open it up for what we had and then move out in terms of like Fire Smart removing conifers and everything else.
Am I guilty of having put words in your mouth? You know what a fire break is.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot bigger than
This
this.
slows it down.
Well, okay, thank you.
Fire pause, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Carried, thank you. And I'll move on to 7G, Shoreline Advisory Committee. Be it resolved to appoint Peter Garrigan as an alternate board member of the Shoreline Advisory Committee. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second. Steve, thank you. Any discussion? Erwin, do you want to?
Just a little bit of background. When the Connaught Phase 2 project was put forward, the consultant on that project immediately reached out to me and expressed her concern that she was in a position of conflict. She immediately volunteered to recuse herself from any discussions about the Connaught 2 project. So we had 3 candidates originally who owned shoreline properties in the VRA. I reached out to them. One of the people was involved with the actual shoreline, that particular Connaught 2 project, so she was in a position of conflict. Peter Garrigan was not in a conflict position, and he's agreed to step in as an alternate to deal with this specific issue, and we thank him for that offer.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, correspondence, information, and announcements. Our zoning bylaw public hearing continuation is October 30th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. here at the East Beaches Social Scene. Board of Revision is tomorrow for the 2025 property assessment appeals. That starts at 1 p.m. in the Winnipeg office. All assessment appeals had to be in by October 1st in order to attend this this appeal. I just noticed the Manitoba government announced the opening of a grant program called Manitoba Growth Renewal and Opportunities for Municipalities Grant Program. Now that's a mouthful. And fire-related infrastructure may be eligible, so we can apply if we're eligible. I'd ask Lon to please look into it for funding to support up to 50% of total eligible costs for capital projects such as fire stations, major equipment, and trucks to enhance public safety. But the deadline, as usual, is very quick. It's November 15th. So we do have a project that's sort of shovel ready though, so we've got maybe some of the work done if we qualify. Anybody else? Steve?
It was more just responding to one communication we got a few days ago, saying how it was abhorrent, or there's something similar to this, that we didn't have the water shutdown. I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, there's certainly a lot that we can do for the website, but it happens at the exact same time every single year for the last how many years? So.
But don't forget, not everybody's been here for a while. If you're new to the community, you may not know that.
Yeah.
I could send out a connect message next year, just saying about it. If
Just
you
put
want.
it on the website. I think that says 9 a.m. the Tuesday immediately following Thanksgiving, because the date changes all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, the point is just like, when you're communicating to council, like, we really do care. So it would just be kind of nice if maybe we can kind of tone down some of the language sometimes and just say, hey, is there any chance you guys could do this? Because it might help quite a few people. Yeah, sure, we'll jump on that right away, rather than, yeah, it wasn't a very nice letter. So it really didn't kind of take me off guard. Anyway, just wanted to put that up. Yes, I do, actually.
Okay. Steve, you wanted to speak about the golf course, I believe.
Yeah, so with the golf course, if things just sort of move forward as they always have, we're never going to make any sort of major, say, aesthetic changes, because it'd be, it wouldn't be right for council to go ahead and, I'm just throwing something out there, I'm not saying that's in plans, but like a water feature or something like that. Council would never go forward and improve that type of investment into the golf course, because that wouldn't be responsible. So in talking with Adam and Elaine, we had sort of come up with the idea that maybe we do a municipally run tournament at the very end of the year when everything is slowed right down, very close to shut off. And then that way, that money could be a full fundraiser for those types of, call them beautifications, but improvements to the golf course that council just will not approve because it can't. So we could do something along the lines, I don't know, like flower beds, or possibly even at some point raise money for a brand new, the words have gone in my head,
Welcome to my world.
yeah, it's been a long day. Clubhouse, thank you very much. But whatever it is, whatever the whatever the members want, we could raise money for that thing, and then that would release some burden off of council. It could be one sort of big community gathering. But I would like to pose that to council, because if everybody's in agreement, then we would need to be looking, I would need to be looking for committee members really quickly, because usually you start the sponsorship and fundraising as far in advance of the new year as possible. So I was hoping that I might be able to get you guys' support to, at the very least, see if I can get enough committee members to start, if anybody be interested in doing a golf tournament for next year.
Go ahead, Greg.
I very much like Steve's idea. One reason is, as a municipal building, we haven't spent a lot of money on the golf course recently. Sooner or later, it's going to need a new roof. The request for lockers keeps expanding. So I very much like the idea of a specific fundraising tournament that could be sponsored by the RM. I think it's a great suggestion.
I think you're right about recently, we've spent money on, roofs on the sheds and the waiting areas and stuff, but a few years ago, we did do a new roof on the golf course clubhouse, and we did lift and level it, and we did add a new ramp this year, and we expanded decking.
Well, sooner or later, that decking will have to be redone. I'm thinking down the road. We don't really have any contingency funds to cover that. And there are occasionally unforeseen issues where somebody managed to run a golf court into one of our shelters, and that costs quite a few bucks to get that fixed. So there's, I like the idea of a fundraiser, so we have a fund that we can draw on.
Well, we do have a golf course reserve, and I believe half of the profits.
It's gonna be gone now, we just drained it.
We just drained it, but if we make a profit, it was my recollection that half of the profits went into the golf course reserve every year, but we haven't always turned a profit at the golf course. We have for the last few years.
Oh, yeah, I'm well aware of that. But I like Steve's idea nevertheless.
It would also be a way to potentially shelter the taxpayer from any unforeseen expenses. So rather than having to, some executives, Graham said, that, oh my God, X, Y, Z happened, we have some money on the side that we can spend at that. The idea is that there would be an actual target involved, but that there would be a separate account altogether. But we could absolutely, with a little bit of time and sitting down with the committee, come up with some wording so that if there is a big emergency, that potential money could be used to help it out in those situations. But again, it's a way to help to shelter the taxpayer from any expenses, and again, also allow for some expenses that the municipality just cannot invest in.
I think, like the men's tournament hasn't had a convener for a couple of years at least. The 55 plus tournament almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think the hard part might be finding conveners, but I think if you can find them, then, who's gonna say no to a small tournament? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Anything else, gentlemen? Rowan?
Just one thing that was mentioned earlier, but I just want to, again, offer my congratulations to the Fire Smart project at the tennis courts. I was volunteering in the early part of the morning on that Saturday, and I didn't arrive on the scene until about 12:30, and I was just blown away by the mountains and the mountains and mountains of brush But I did work for a couple hours with Steve. He's amazing with a chainsaw. But you know, what was so gratifying is the number of people that came out to volunteer. They're concerned about fire safety, and they didn't just talk, they did walk. They worked their tails off. So well done to Bart Pritchard, to Ian Fish, to Matt Metcalf, and a whole bunch of volunteers. Well done, well done.
It was very well done, thank you.
There were 62 people that they counted who came out for it.
Over the day.
Yeah, so I think the nonstop messaging over the last 8 years has really sort of, you know, made people realize how necessary it is. And so the hope is to expand it next year and sort of take off from the same spot and keep expanding out. So.
Well, and I think too, the fire department is doing some more online marketing, if you will. They've got a young woman who's doing their social media, and she's posting lots of photos. The Scott Point project was a good project to open people's eyes about what could be done. So I think we've got some momentum, and people are aware and they care, and if they can help us get it done, we can't do it without community support, right? So yes, thank you very much. Anything further? All right, be it resolved that the wrong one. Be it resolved that the October 15th, 2024 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in Winnipeg at 2035 Portage Avenue. May I remember? Ian, thank you. Steve, second. All those in favor? Great. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for those in attendance.